How's it going, everyone? So today I want to discuss the Saab 9.3 Carlsson. This is a model that, quite frankly, I didn't really know anything about until these last couple of days, and after reading more about it and having a subscriber really wanting me to do a video on it, I figured, why not? It's a very special limited edition Saab. So today I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and make a video. And since you guys like me driving in my videos, although it makes it harder for me to make more coherent and, you know, better thoughts, you guys seem to enjoy it more. So we did get a bit of rain last night, unfortunately, so the car looks like crap. Those who are new to the channel, I am not driving a 9.3 Carlsson. I'm driving a Turbo X, which actually, outside the name, is very, very similar to a Carlsson. I guess I'll go ahead and start with why it's called the Carlsson. So, the name Carlsson came from Aero Carlsson, who was a Saab rally driver way back in the 60s. He won a few championships, and basically Saab decided, you know what, we're gonna make a car named after him. Basically, Saab decided to kind of pay homage to him by making a limited edition 9.3 named after him. Now, I did also read that there was a 900 Carlsson, even a 9000 Carlsson, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. So the Carlsson came on the same chassis and same exact body style as all 2008 and up 9.3s. There wasn't really anything different about it in that sense. It came with a B284 motor in it, similar to the Turbo X and the 9.3 Aero, and it made about the same power as the Turbo X. So the Carlsson, similar to the Turbo X, was only made for one model year, and the Turbo X had 2,000 units. I'm sure a lot of you know that. There are 2,000 Turbo X's made, but for the Carlsson, they made less than 100 of them. I believe the exact number was 96. The reason why they went with 96 is because Erik Carlsson drove the Saab 96 when he won his rally championships and events back in the 60s. When I wanted to make this video, I really wanted to have a physical 9.3 Carlsson to film, but given that there's only 96 of them, and I'm pretty sure most of them, if not all of them, are in Europe, that's not really feasible. So I'm just going to be having to show pictures of it to you guys for the duration of the video. One thing that you'll notice from these exterior shots is that the wheels are very similar to the Turbo X wheels. And you'd be right, they are. They're the exact same design, except they're all silver instead of like a two-tone. And the good thing about the Carlsson wheels over the Turbo X wheels, the Carlsson wheels are actually 19 inches, whereas the Turbo X wheels came from factory with 18 inches. I believe there might have been an option for 19-inch wheels, but there's almost none of them out there. Along with having the same motor as the 9.3 Aero and the Turbo X more specifically, it also had the same drivetrain as the Turbo X. Came with Saab's cross-wheel drive system, and it also got an electronic limited slip differential like the Turbo X has. There aren't really any other 9.3s out there that have the ELSD besides the Turbo X and the Carlsson. So with that being said, it's very fair to assume that it drives pretty much identically to this car. It also has stiffer suspension and bigger brakes, so I'm assuming they're the same brakes that are on this car and the same suspension that was on this car from factory. So one other big benefit of the Carlsson is that it came with just about every option that you could get from factory. It came with the upgraded, I think it's called the B50 leather, where it's like, you know, I've got leather, but it's not like good leather. The Carlsson and the other 9.3s that came with that very rare option had good leather, like good quality, really soft leather. And I've seen cars with those B50 interiors before, and they're a whole nother step, they're a whole nother level up on the normal interiors. It also came with the 6-inch touchscreen nav system. So the big downside of the Carlsson, in my eyes at least, is that outside of it being extremely expensive for how rare it is, and that's not to say expensive from factory. Actually, I'll talk about how cheap it was here in a minute, but the big downside of it, in my eyes, was that they only came with the 6-speed automatic. Of course, you do have your paddle shifters with that, but you're not going to get the same driving experience as you would with this car with the 6-speed manual. So going back to what I just mentioned, the price. Nowadays, I'm not sure what these are going for. Because there's so few of them out there, pretty much you can't really gauge too well how much they're worth unless one pops up for sale. So I can't really tell you guys how much they're worth. I'm sure most of them are garage kept and barely driven. But from factory, this car cost, I believe it was just under 27,000 pounds. Convert that to US dollars is like low to mid $30,000 range, which is actually really cheap. I mean, that's like a really, really good price. This Turbo X, on my title, or not my title, my registration, this car cost, I think it was 40, I have it right here actually, I'm gonna check so I don't say it wrong, 42,000. This car was 42,510 from the dealership. So, I mean, you do the math yourself. I don't know why they were so cheap. Maybe it's because they were made in 2010 and it was really at that point Saab's like, oh shit, we're gonna be done for very soon here. But I assume that they sold out very, very quickly. I don't know what Saab enthusiast that had the money wouldn't want to jump on something like that. But back to the point, most of these came in the Arctic white color, which white Saabs, I think I've said this a couple times before, white colored Saabs are probably my favorite. They are so beautiful. We're gonna take a quick break to talk about the sponsor of today's video, and then we'll be back and finish up talking about the Carlsson. I want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of this video, Audu. They sent me out basically a self jump starter. So this is something that I have genuinely wanted for, well, I don't know, pretty much ever since I learned that these were a thing. And the great thing about these is, you know, of course everyone knows what a jump starter is. The only downside of your standard jumper cables though, is that you need a second car to help you out. So what happens when you're all alone and you don't have someone to help you, or you don't have jumper cables? Well, then you're kind of screwed. So, thankfully, these things were smartly invented, and basically what this thing does is serves as that second car. So essentially I can use this to jump start my car. Now as you can see, it's very small. It's the case itself, you know, a little bit bigger than my hand. Of course you have your jumper cables right here that plug into the side, the power button, and it tells you how much, just turned off of course, it tells you how much battery this has left. So of course it also comes with a flashlight, which is oddly enough very handy. Like, this is something that I would buy with my own money, let me put it that way. With that being said, if you guys want one of these, there's a link down below in the description, and I'm gonna get back to the video now. So the Carlsson really didn't have a whole lot different to it exterior wise than like a normal Aero or especially a Turbo X. The only thing that is different is the rear wing. Now the Turbo X already has a unique lip spoiler to it. The normal Aero just has a very, very tiny one that kind of sits at an angle like this on the rear, the trunk lid, and the Turbo X's is pretty much completely flat. The Carlsson's is kind of like the same as the Aero one, but it's just like twice the size. It's like the size of the Turbo X one. It looks pretty good. I like the look of it. I personally think I would still like the Turbo X spoiler more, but you know, you can't really complain too much. So I feel like in a lot of ways the Carlsson is kind of a forgotten car from Saab, mainly because I think it came like pretty much a year or two before they went out of business officially. And at that point, a lot of true enthusiasts that would have really appreciated the Carlsson and really appreciated Erik Carlsson, they were kind of done with the brand because it was too much GM at that point. So I think maybe that's why this car didn't really get any hype around it. Now I did read a couple reviews on it from just like general auto sites. One was like Auto Express, and they were pretty harsh. Like, you know, they're like, oh yeah, it's got Saab's advanced cross-wheel drive system, it's got this motor, which is, yeah, that's pretty good, and but just let me set the record straight that this car is garbage when you compare it to its competitors. It is way below its competitors, everything's outdated, blah blah blah. And I'm like, really? Like, you're saying all these good things about the car, and all you're saying, you know, besides that is, you know, it's lesser than its competitors, but you're not saying why. So, you know, whatever, I don't really care, I'm not butthurt. But with that being said, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Let me know if you're still watching the video. First off, like this video. Second off, vote in the poll up here in the corner. Tell me, would you rather have a Turbo X or a Carlsson? I'm curious to see your guys' feedback. I think I'd like to drive a Carlsson. If a Carlsson came in 6-speed manual, I think I would take that. over the Turbo X just because it's even more rare. But since it's only an automatic, I think that might be the decisive factor for a lot of you guys. But that's it for today, guys. I'm done rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. My one GoPro just fell off the windshield, and I'll see y'all next time.
Check your body.